Hi there. Today I'm going over gel electrophoresis and both why and how to follow the proper procedure for it. So DNA is a double helix strand that is negatively charged due to the phosphate sugar groups connected to the oxygen molecules, and so there's phosphate groups. And they are negatively charged. So this allows the DNA to be pulled through an agar plate that has been that is electrically conductive. So there's little troughs here. And the little troughs are where you place in the DNA and ultraviolet dye. So this, so the proper procedure to follow for the gel electrophoresis is you're going to be heating the gel electrophoresis from its solid form. Let's try a little flask. So you want to heat it for about 2 minutes for every 100 milliliters, and it takes roughly 50 milliliters per test for each one of these. So you want to heat it up for 2 minutes, and then you want to shake it back and forth slowly in a swirling motion. So you want to swirl it back and forth, and then until it's just dissolved. You don't want to heat it up too much, or the gel will solidify and form a crust, which is very difficult to clean. So once the gel has liquefied, then you're going to wait for about 25 minutes. That way you can pick it up. Alright, until it's cool enough that you can pick it up and add in the dye to the gel. So then you're going to add in the dye in here. So you're going to add some of the dye into there, and then you're going to swirl it back again. Swirl it again until it's fully dissolved, and then wait for another 5 minutes until it's a little bit cooler, and then you're going to place it or pour it into this. So this is going to be an apparatus that allows you to pour it in. There's a little comb here that has these little troughs, or that forms little troughs. So there's these little combs that you'll want to fill it up to halfway up the little combs, or the legs of the comb. You'll fill it up halfway, and then you'll wait another about I think it was about half an hour until it's fully solidified. So wait until it's fully solidified. Then once it's solidified, then you can pull the comb directly up, and that'll leave the troughs in place. So once you have the troughs formed, you'll need to prepare your DNA segment, or your DNA that you're going to be testing. So in each of these, you'll place down initially the DNA UV dye. And then after that, then you're going to place in your testing DNA. So with these two things, you can you then want to pipette it multiple times to fully mix it, and then once it's fully mixed for each of them, then you can add them to each of the troughs. Alright, but for the last one, you want to have a marker showing what the different lines there, or how many letters there are in each of the different tests. So for this one, it's going to be what travels closest to the positive line is going to be the smallest, because they're the lightest and easiest to move through the gel. So for say this is like 50 letters, and then this would be closer to like 10,000 letters, and then probably closer to around 1,000. And there's several lines in between that you can use for the markers. So that so this one is going to be used for the labeling of or the scale. So once you put this in, or put them all in, you want to pipette them down into the trough, and making sure not to puncture through to the bottom, and making sure not to puncture the agar in any way. So you'll place it in the gel, and then before this, you have to make sure that that it's submerged underneath a conductive, I believe it's DNP solution. So after that you do this, you'll place it back into the machine, and you'll that runs electricity through the agar gel, and uses the electronegativity of the DNA molecule to test the size of it. Alright, this will take about 20 to 40 minutes. You should check every 10 to 15 minutes to check that it has moved down, but you don't want it to move past the end of the gel. So after about 20 to 40 minutes, then you'll want to turn off the machine and check it. You'll once this is done, you'll probably see different lines showing up. Some of them will have one distinct line, and if it's blurry, then there's it's off, or it could be that something went wrong, or that your DNA is not linear and is instead circular, in which case there's this real blurring that occurs. Sometimes you have a little bit of both, or just one distinct line. Alright, you can take photos of this using the provided UV light, or you can take it to a special setup with a UV light and a special camera to get higher resolution photos.